Hello again. I'm back. Um, Today I'm going to talk about the things that we distract ourselves with and how that's been affected by the situation that we now find ourselves in with COVID and all the other changes that are going on, and quarantine, which is potentially looming again, maybe, or kids aren't going back to school, or they are, or we're not sure, and the constant changing nature of things. Believe me, I've been experiencing that in my own life. The CDC apparently changed stuff again today. So, which on the one hand had a good effect and had a more challenging effect on another. Anyway, so to start, you know, when we are uncomfortable, when we are sad, when we are in pain, when we are triggered, when we are anxious, when we're depressed, or whatever, we tend to want to get away from those feelings. Those feelings are uncomfortable, they are messy, they're not fun, and we don't want to feel that way. And I know I have personally experimented with almost all of the distractions that I can at least think of. So if I think of, you know, food, alcohol, drugs, haven't really done the drug thing, relationships, sex, work, busyness, those are the ones that the seven that or eight that I just came up with, just sort of brainstorming through, what I personally have experimented with, in terms of trying to distract myself, right? So, um, and I'm sure all of us have those experiences, and I've referred to them before, like, going to dive into the Ben and Jerry's or diving into the wine bottle. But there are other ways, we can begin to obsess about relationships or overthink things that are going on in our lives. And when I say relationships, I don't just mean, intimate relationships with family members or partners, but also relationships in the office, that you begin to like spend a lot of time thinking about something that's going on and maybe blowing it up and making it more important or more dramatic than it is, in order to distract yourself from something else that you're worried about, or something else that you don't want to think about, or some uncomfortable feeling or situation. Um, there's any number of ways to do this. One of the things that's been going on with me is that, so in the last couple of weeks, I'm sure a lot of you know that my father's been in the hospital, and there's been a lot of stress around that. And then just yesterday, my mother and I, our family made the decision, and mother and I went to go sign the papers to, at least for now, put my father in a nursing home, which, with the added situation with COVID, at least here in Louisiana, and I think this is true of other states too, that you can't visit anyone who's in a nursing home, right? So we don't have a choice, but at the same time, it's a really hard thing to do, knowing that we are really not going to be able to see him until either he gets strong enough to come home and doesn't need that level of care, or two, unless they lift the mandate and come up with some other way for family members to be able to visit with people in assisted living facilities and in nursing homes. Now, that was really hard. As it happens, I am blocked currently from using some of what have been, in the past at least, my go-to distractions. I currently, for other reasons that I would be TMI, I'm not going to go into, but just trust me, if I indulge in sugar, white food, or alcohol at this point, the repercussions, let's just say, are not worth it. So I have a lot of incentive not to do that. Now, this is an area that I've been working on for a while, I will say, not to use food, to use my training in mindfulness to be aware of when I'm uncomfortable and I'm starting to reach, for the bag of chips, or I'm starting to reach for the ice cream, or I'm starting to reach for the cookies, that or that I'm reaching for the bottle of wine, or that I'm reaching, that is something that I've been aware of and that I have been working on for a while. Drugs, again, have never really been an issue. Definitely done the relationship thing, picking at a relationship or blowing up problems in a relationship because I don't want to deal with something else. That is something I've done. I've tried to become more aware of that as well. And that's not really an issue for me right now and not a place that I want to go. So when I see that starting to happen, I can very quickly sort of pull back and say, oh, okay, I'm aware that I'm starting to think like that. I'm starting to have those thoughts. I'm starting to go into that vortex about this relationship or situation. And I don't need to do that. Let me pull back and figure out what it is that I'm uncomfortable about. What pain am I in that I'm wanting to do that? So that's another area that I've been working on. One that I've been sort of aware of, I have been aware of it, but maybe not working on it as much, is the busyness distraction. And the busyness distraction is one that has been really sort of taken away from us by the situation with the COVID, right? Because certainly while we were in quarantine, a lot of our busyness went away. We couldn't get out of our houses. We couldn't leave. We couldn't go run a whole bunch of errands. We couldn't go to the mall and spend money. We couldn't come up with things that we needed to get done. So unless you're someone who busies yourself by cleaning your house all the time, which hands up, I mean, I don't think I'm a total slob, but I'm definitely not someone who's running around cleaning my house all the time. That is not a way that my busyness comes out. That was taken away from us, right? That was taken away from us. It was certainly taken away from me. I wasn't able to be busy to escape whatever it was that was bothering me or causing me discomfort. And because I had a positive COVID test, so for the last 2 weeks, during the time that my father's been in the hospital and other things have been going on, I've been absolutely blocked from the food and the alcohol. Like, that's not happening at all, right? And my real current, still remaining go-to distraction, busyness, has also been taken away from me. One, because I just physically didn't have it in me, because one of the main symptoms that I had was fatigue. And then also because I had to stay here in my house. And I couldn't go anywhere because I didn't want to expose anybody more than I had already exposed, potentially unwittingly. Although I did wear a mask, and no one that I came in contact has been sick, and no one has tested positive. So that's a plug for the masks. Anyway, so I had to be still, and I have to say it's been really hard because I can't be busy. I'm too tired, and I'm barricaded in my house, right? And I can't eat bad food. Comfort food is totally off the table. And so is alcohol. So I can't even have a glass of wine and think like, oh, I have a glass of wine, and I can't even have one. So I have to say that's been really, really hard. As much as I hate to admit it, it's been very hard. And it's been very eye-opening for me in that regard, at the very least, to say, oh, wow, yes, I have come a long way and I've done a lot of work in these areas, but it's still hard, right? So I'm feeling any of you that, have that this resonates with, I'm with you, I feel it. And on the upside, though, I have to say that as hard as this has been and as emotionally draining as it's been at times, I have been forced to actually sit with my sadness, to actually sit with my pain and feel it, and not be able to distract myself. When I found myself distracting myself, say with the phone, with social media, whatever, I've put it down. Now, you might say that I've been distracting myself making videos, and that's possible. I'm willing to hold up a hand and own that. But I have spent time just being still and just feeling how difficult this all is. And not just the stuff that's going on with me personally, but the stuff in the larger world. And so many people that I know, clients that I'm working with and friends, and then people just in the general world that are suffering and struggling with all the things that are going on. And I have to say that doing that has also, I feel like it's also sprung something open in my heart too, that feeling that pain and allowing it to wash through me and shedding tears and being present with my pain and not being distracted by my busyness or anything else that I might come up with. It's not that I'm not still sad, and it's not that I'm not capable of still shedding tears about it, but I do feel like something has shifted, that just by doing that something has shifted within me, and I feel like my heart is more open than it was. I feel like I just feel more comfortable in the uncomfortable place. It's not quite so scary. And it may be that it's the monster in the closet, right? That if you keep shutting that closet with distractions and piling stuff in front of it so that you don't have to think about it, that pain seems like it would be a lot worse if you actually walk through it. That if you open the closet and you start pulling stuff out and looking at it, that it's going to be a lot harder than you think it's going to be. But then when you actually do it, it's not as bad. And you actually feel better, even while you're still walking through an uncomfortable time. So if I have a bit of hope to offer along those lines, that's what I want to do. I want to offer that hope that, at least in my experience, taking the time to actually sit with it, taking the time to, and some of it's been forced, let's be honest. Some of it I haven't had a choice about, but I'm grateful for the fact that I haven't had that choice. I'm grateful for the fact that I had to sit still. I'm grateful for the fact that I was too tired to go do anything to distract myself. I'm grateful for the fact that I couldn't, go zap the comfort foods and have that glass or two of wine. I'm grateful for that, because it actually made me realize I don't need it as much as I thought I did. And I can breathe, and it's okay. So that's what I have to offer you today. I hope it's helpful. And we'll see what comes up next. But that's where we are today. Take care. Be good to yourselves. Try and sit still if you can for a little while. This is hard. It is. It's hard. It's all hard. Hit me up if you need some help. Take care. Bye.